The overall objective of this webinar is to provide guidance on reporting the emission of ammonia from poultry and egg farms as required under the Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation, and Liability Act, otherwise known as CERCLA. In 2008, in response to a petition filed by USPOULTRY, the National Chicken Council, and the National Turkey Federation, the Environmental Protection Agency granted farms that house and raise animals an exemption from the requirement to report the emission ammonia and hydrogen sulfide into the air that is generated as manure naturally breaks down. In 2015, environmental groups petitioned U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, and in April 2017, the court vacated the exemption. The court's ruling reassigns the requirement to report the emission of ammonia and hydrogen sulfide when the emissions exceed the reporting quantity threshold of 100 pounds over a 24-hour period. EPA has indicated that farms may file continuous release reports, which is less burdensome than reporting daily. Filing a continuous release report under the CERCLA program is a three-step process. The first step requires the person in charge of the farm to notify the National Response Center. This notification is normally made by making a telephone call. Unfortunately, the National Response Center recently became aware that their telephone system cannot handle the thousands of calls this reporting requirement will cause. To address this problem, the National Response Center has directed poultry and livestock producers to make the initial notification by sending an email to the National Response Center. You can find more information from the National Response Center at www.nrc.uscg.mil. The second step requires the owner to file a written report to the EPA regional office based on the farm's location within 30 days of making the initial notification to the National Response Center. Finally, the third step requires the owner to file a follow-up report within 30 days of the first anniversary date of the initial written notification. The one-year follow-up report must be submitted to the same EPA regional office that received your initial written report. Next, we will go through the step-by-step process on how to file the initial report to the National Response Center and the written reports to the proper EPA regional office. In preparation for emailing the initial notification to the National Response Center, ensure that you have all of the information you are required to provide. You will need to provide your name, city and state of your farm, and the name of your farm. In the subject box of the email, indicate the following: Initial Continuous Release Notification. Below is the text that you should include in your email. To whom it may concern, I am sending this email as an initial continuous release notification of ammonia from a farm on which I have animal manure. I am reporting this emission in accordance with the Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation, and Liability Act. I want to clarify that this is a notification of a continuous release. The cause of the ammonia is the natural breakdown of animal manure. I want to clarify that I do not have an emergency. The following information is personal information subject to exemption number 6 under the Freedom of Information Act and is confidential business information. The name of the farm is, you provide your name of your farm, and the farm is located in, provide the city or town in the state of your farm. Currently, I have no way of estimating my emissions, but I may be exceeding the threshold of 100 pounds of ammonia per day. Sign the email by typing your name at the bottom. Send the email to the following email address: nrc-cepra-epcra@uscg.mil. After sending the email, you should receive an email in return that will provide you with a CRERNS number or incident number. Record this number and keep it for future reference. You will need to include this number on your future written reports and any future correspondence with the EPA Regional Office or the National Response Center. Within 30 days of sending the initial email notification to the National Response Center, you will be required to submit a written report to the appropriate EPA Regional Office based on where your farm is located. To find your specific EPA Regional Office, use the following link: www.epa.gov/about-EPA/visiting-regional-office. Select your state by clicking on the map, and the information for your regional office will be provided. The initial written report requires general information, source information, and hazardous substance information. U.S. Poultry has created a document you may use to prepare and submit your written reports. You can find the U.S. Poultry CERCLA Continuous Release Reporting Form from the following web address: www.usportry.org/environment/regulatory.cfm. From the U.S. Poultry homepage at www.uspoultry.org, you will click on the Programs and Events tab to find the Environment link. You will then click Regulatory Issues, where you will find the CERCLA Emissions Reporting Guidance drop-down, which contains the CERCLA reporting form. We will walk through each section to ensure you provide the necessary information. Ensure that you download the form and save it to your computer. Once opened, click Enable Editing and Enable Content to unlock all fields within the form. At the top of the page, fill out the date and the CRERNS number or incident number that you received in the reply email from the National Response Center. Under the drop-down bar for Type of Report Submitting, choose whether you are submitting the initial report or the follow-up report. Under Section 1, General Information, provide the farm owner's full name, telephone number, farm address, and the latitude and longitude of your farm. The exact longitude and latitude coordinates for your farm's location can be found by visiting the following web: www.satsig.net/lat-long-finder.htm. In the Center the Map Around box, make sure to type your address or your city and state, which will prompt the map to move to the general area of your farm. You can then move the map around and zoom in to locate your farm and determine the latitude and longitude for a specific location. Under Section 1, General Information, you will also need to provide population information around your farm. Using the drop-down box, choose from the range of people that best fits the estimated population around your farm within a 1-mile radius. To the best of your knowledge, use the drop-down box to answer yes or no as to whether or not your farm is within 1 mile of any schools, daycare centers, hospitals, and retirement communities. If so, then provide the estimated distance and the direction to those facilities. Section 2, Source Information, requires information on the source of the hazardous substance being released. Provide the number of houses on your farm and indicate if your farm has a litter storage area. Information on the environmental medium affected and the identity and quantity of the hazardous substance has been provided for you. Section 3, Hazardous Substance Information, provides required information that identifies the hazardous substance that may be emitted and a qualifying statement that indicates the report is being submitted as a good faith effort to report the emission of ammonia that potentially exceeded the reporting quantity threshold. Finally, this section provides a required statement that certifies the release is continuous and stable, and the submitted information is accurate and current to the best of your knowledge. At the bottom of the form, you are required to provide your printed name, position, signature, and date. When this form is completed, mail it to the EPA regional office you identified earlier. Within 30 days of the first anniversary date of the initial written notification, you are required to submit a 1-year follow-up written report to your appropriate EPA regional office. This report requires the same information you provided on the initial written report. When preparing this report, however, under the drop-down bar for Type of Report Submitting, choose the Follow-up Report tab. This report must be sent to the same EPA regional office you sent the initial written report to. If your farm makes changes that significantly increases the amount of ammonia emitted, like adding 1 or more poultry houses, you are required to report these as if they are new releases. The process you need to follow is identical to the process you followed when you submitted your original notification, initial written report, and the 1-year follow-up report. Keep in mind all correspondence, including the email notification to the National Response Center and the written reports that are submitted to the EPA regional office, must include the CRERNS number or the incident number that was assigned to you by the National Response Center. If you have any questions regarding the guidance provided in this tutorial, please feel free to contact Paul Bredwell at pbredwell@uspoultry.org or call 678-514-1973.
This message was brought to you by the U.S. Poultry and Egg Association. Funding for this video was provided by the International Poultry Expo. Please support our exhibitors, and we invite you to attend.